I don't have a problem with people failing. People who try, they fail. People who don't fail have not tried enough.
Today I have the pleasure of interacting with Jayant Rastogi. Jayant is the global CEO of Magic Bus. Many organizations have good intent, but it's not like they are able to grow, right? So there must be something deeper that you may have done.
I would call it the 4 Ps: people, programs, process. And the 4th P is about our partners. Personally, I think the most important thing that an NGO can do is credibility. And credibility will come only if you can show the outcomes. To get that inclusive growth, you can't work in the last mile. You have to start working much earlier. Building employability skills, entrepreneurial skills into the school. And that's exactly what we have been doing, for the last 26 years.
Hello and welcome to AI Dialogues. I'm Pranav Kothari, the CEO of Educational Initiatives. Our mission is to see a world where children everywhere are learning with understanding. We do this by assessing students on the scholastic subjects of language, math, science, and we make an adaptive learning software called MindSpark. AI Dialogues is a series of video podcasts where we interview leaders from the education sector to uncover the what, why, where, and how they manage to bring the impact to their organizations and the communities. Today, I have the pleasure of interacting with Jayant Rastogi. Jayant is the global CEO of Magic Bus, and prior to joining that, he spent 2 decades working in the technology and software industries. Over the last 8 years, Jayant has managed to grow Magic Bus by 5x, and I'm curious to learn how he managed to do that. What lessons does he have for the rest of us who are also trying to grow our organizations and the impact? He talks about his 4 Ps framework, and we will unpack each one of them. Magic Bus works in the childhood to livelihood space, and I'm curious to know what are the interventions that they do and what impact it has had on certain beneficiaries. As Bharat approaches its Viksit goal, what are the components that Jayant thinks are important? When we say inclusion, who do we need to include and why? Are they such an integral component of achieving that? Jayant spent a lot of time on thinking about technology, both in his career before Magic Bus, and has actually deployed a lot of this inside. Many of us believe in technology, but sometimes don't prioritize it enough as we try to accomplish more urgent fires. How does Jayant make this trade-off, and what are the benefits that he has seen in Magic Bus is an area of interest for me. Thank you so much for joining us on AI Dialogues, and welcome to the show.
Thank you, Pranav. Thank you for having me. Privileged to be here.
Thank you, Jayant. Jayant, tell us a little bit more about yourself. Like, what led you to joining Magic Bus? You were globe-trotting in scaling businesses. What led you to leave all of that and join Magic Bus?
See, nothing. No, really, fantastic story or something. Spent some time with Motorola, and then I was actually into. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. So I started a social venture, and there's a little bit of a story behind that social venture. I had a driver who was in his 20s, very young guy, and every 10-15 days, I used to find that the guy was not well, bukhar aa gaya, something or the other, right? And he used to be off, then he used to come back. He says, "Doctor, बहुत अच्छा था, मेरे को glucose चढ़ा, बहुत ताकत आ गया मुझ में." So these were these daily wages, dahadi guys, who had to get back to work, right? And I realized that I was in my 40s and had never had this opportunity to get the glucose and takat in me. So what was that? So I started a venture which was a social venture, which was into healthcare, probably ahead of its time, flopped miserably. It was to provide to the marginalized primary, secondary and tertiary care. The primary and the secondary was free of cost, and the tertiary was obviously at a subsidized cost. So that was the model which we envisaged using technology. Flopped miserably, but that kind of opened my eyes to what was really happening in, what was happening at the ground level. So, which was very concerning. So that got me started. Then I did a for-profit transport aggregation, did phenomenally well and all that. And once that was stabilized, I just happened to connect with Matthew, and they were looking they wanted to institutionalize the organization. He had a vision to kind of, bring in professional team, etc. Took me 6 months to kind of make up my mind. I was not very sure whether I wanted to do this full time. So it took me 6 months. And here I am 9 years and really enjoying it and privileged to be here. And I can honestly tell you what I learn over here or what I've learned over here is far, far greater than anything that I would have learned in my 2.5 decades on the other side.
But weren't you scared? Like you were probably getting paid very well, and for you to forgive all of that and join this, and you took your time. So this wasn't like a fling for a few years. You've been there for a decade. Does the sector pay as well?
See, we all know what the sector pays, right? Again, very honest. See, when you're on the other side, obviously we are a middle class family. We have limited needs which are there. So I thought I was well taken care of in terms of what one had kind of accumulated or done during my corporate days, and I think that gave me the confidence that even if there's nothing, I can still kind of go on. So
yeah. No, that's a very similar story. Like I worked in consulting and private equity before taking a big pay cut to join EI. I wasn't sure how long it would last, but I think as long as you're creating value, it sort of, the forces in nature, allow you to sort of get a slice of it. And at least when I talk to my peers, I of course make much less than my classmates at Harvard. But when it comes to, feeling fulfilled, sleeping at night, feeling like you've done something more. The thing that I tell myself is, what's the percentage of discount that one is willing to take to be able to feel this way? So that's been my experience.
So I call it the karma bank. If you do good work, you get karma credits, and somewhere it kind of counts and it kind of blesses you. So I remember on Motorola days, once we'd consolidated, the different pieces, grown a market share. Beyond 4 or 5, I didn't know what to do, honestly, I used to pass my time. Yes. Here, you work 12 to 14 hours, it seems like play, Yes. You're solving hundreds of year old, generation-old problems. Yes. Nobody's done it before. You're trying new stuff. It's very interesting, very, very privileged to be here and full of gratitude for it. The learning is tremendous. Yeah. And I can ask all those people, who are like me on the other side, if you really want to learn something, I think this is the place.
Yeah, it's funny how people are envious of us as well, right, from our previous peers. But yeah, I remember jobs when where I was actually watching the second hand of the clock turn 5 p.m. to leave the office. And here, even though my wife complains that I work on the weekends, it somehow doesn't feel like work. It feels like, I don't know, play or love or something. Yeah. Yeah, so I think that...
I wish I could infuse all this in all the magic machines also. I'm sure it is there to a great extent. But if you could do that, I think it's wonderful.
We are the privileged ones who sort of can choose to do this. But, Magic Bus has grown remarkably under your leadership as measured by, the amount of money that you raise or the number of people that you serve. 5x in 8 years is a very large number. Unpack a little bit of us. I want to scale 5x in 8 years. What do I have to do? What advice do you have for me?
One is we've been very, very lucky that we have a really good team. And that's really helped us. I'll just set a little bit of a context, when I joined Magic Bus, where we were. See, it was an organization which believed in good, honest work. But an organization which grows, those problems which suddenly grow, it had all those problems. So in terms of, our people score, we'd just done something with Bain just before I joined. Employee Net Promoter Score, you mean how many of your employees kind of, recommend?
Yes.
Our score was minus 35 at that time, 2016. That means none of our employees were recommending us as a place to work. From a program perspective, when I joined, I went to a few programs, and one was an RCT project, which is like a gold standard. You put all your everything into it, right? And I was getting all the reports because it was all self-reporting. And see, there was no bad intention. In head office, everybody wanted it right. But on the ground, what happens, people didn't know.
Right.
So I went to the program, it never happened.
Right.
And this was second year running. When I went to the school, they didn't even know who Magic Bus was.
Oh.
So that opened my eyes. The third point was in terms of, our financial health. There were months when we didn't know how to pay the salaries. So I said, see, the only thing, whatever I do, I can only take it up, right?
Yes.
It can't go down.
Bottom low. So
that but again, I believe in technology. I think technology is the bedrock of, transparency, honesty, integrity. So we started infusing technology at a program level. We couldn't afford it at that time. We brought in very frugal technology first. So that helped us build, evidence, because data again helps you, with decision making. And so that's where we started off.
Jayant, if there was just one singular framework on which you could attribute the growth of Magic Bus under your leadership, what would that be?
See, if it was one single, I would call it the 4 Ps, which is the first piece, people. You need really passionate, good, aligned people. We are very lucky that, we have the team. In fact, we are now Great Places certified. We are one of the best NGOs to work for. So that's the first P. The second P is about programs, about our participants and the impact that we have, the outcomes. So really, really deep, rigorous programs. Measure what we do, track it, see how we are kind of, incrementally improving. The third P is about the process. This is about building capacities. It's the maker checker, the integrity, the governance, the compliance that you bring in. That is the third P. And the fourth P is about our partners. This could be funder partners, it could be government partners, it could be employer partners. Again, we track that very, very transparently. So these are the 4 Ps which have kind of helped us,
But let's say many organizations have good intent, they want to have good people, they want to embrace technology, like all the things that you said, but it's not like they are able to grow, right? So there must be something deeper that you may have done.
I think it starts with the top question. If he drives this message that, in terms of culture, that, we are a people first company, we care about our people. People see that fairness. Second is when you're serious about the outcomes and the impact. I think that shows. People start kind of aligning with it. And see, in any team, if you look at people, it's the same, more or less the same thing. You'll have 10-15% who are the leaders. There's 60-70% who are the followers. They're not. The problem is the last 5 to 10%, whom you need to counsel. Again, either retool them or reshape them. So you need to take care of those. Rest of the people are kind of quite well aligned to the direction and that's exactly the problem which we also had when we came in. So there were some really good people. We brought in some fresh blood, which was obviously bringing in a new perspective, and that helped us. Again, I think the data started building integrity into the program. The evidence, the impact started improving. More funders started coming in. It sounds very simple, but I'll give you one very interesting situation which happened actually. So when I was trying to get this technology, and it was very frugal. We didn't have the money at that point in time. It's OSS is the field mobility solution. हम जब उसको implement कर रहे थे, तो obviously the teams didn't want it to be implemented, but it brings out whatever is happening on the ground, right? So there was a lot of resistance for that. And one of my team members came in and asked me, Jayant, are you trying to police us? I was the new CEO, you also want people to like you. Let's be honest,
Yes.
right? Although you might say,
बिल्कुल डर तो लगता ही है. हाँ.
So, and it got me thinking कि यार ये क्या करूँ मैं यार? Is this, how do I kind of address this? And it took me some time thinking. And I said, see, we have children. We trust our children. But we have oversight over them. Who are their friends? Are they studying properly? What are the, how well are they doing in school, etc., etc. And see, we work with a lot of first-timers, people who are first time getting a job. And it is a duty to kind of set the right examples, give them the right direction. So I said, we are not trying to police. We are trying to actually set the right practices and teach the right way how things have to be done. And I think the team kind of accepted it reluctantly at first. Then they saw the benefits. It helped. And once your program, see, we are here for the program and our participants. So if that improves, then I think the other things start falling in place. So that was my first focus when I actually came in.
On people, what's your favorite hack? Like, what's your thing that you're most proud of in terms of growing the talent base, getting them to perform in Magic Bus the way they're doing now? Like, what do you tell them secretly in their ears?
See, I believe there has to be a nurturing environment. I allow my people to fail. I tell them, I'm very happy for you to fail, but fail is the same thing once or twice, not again and again.
Yes.
And we've created an environment where I'm very happy for people to take risks, So I call it risk and innovation. We have institutional award, which is risk and innovation. And I don't have a problem with people failing. People who try, they fail. People who don't fail have not tried enough.
Yes.
So I encourage failure in some ways, right?
So you actually reward someone who's taken a lot of risk, even if they have failed, doesn't matter. But the fact that they tried.
Absolutely. And I think and the other thing that I would kind of, feel that I've been able to get into Magic Bus, almost every single Magic Bus scene is our whole idea of technology, using technology to scale our impact.
Yeah.
So that's really got inside. They all understand the benefits. So right now there is no resistance when you try and bring something new in terms of technology. They understand the benefits. They've seen how we've kind of grown.
Right.
So
Right. And so, people is the first P, right? What's the second P?
So the second piece are participants, program, and the impact. And we measure every single thing that we do, and using technology, we build a data layer. I don't want to make it boring, but we really scrutinize and look at our data. We are probably the only NGO which does a FPD, which is fraud prevention detection. 100% data we scrutinize, just to see that we do data triangulation using technology to see that the data is accurate, etc., etc.
What types of data are these? Are these student attendance? Is this staff presence at the site? What types of data are you capturing?
So you see, the data first is at the participant level or the beneficiary level. So which is about the attendance, the rigor. Then it's about the assessments as to how the needle is moving in terms of the baseline, midline, endline.
Of learning, of
whatever is the program, whatever the program outcomes are, right? And then it is also about our staff and how they interact, how they behave. So on the livelihood side, we have 130 odd livelihood centers across the country. So again, how they come. We've got this whole metal scorecard thing where we are looking at behavioral change, and we're looking at qualitative and quantitative change. So we've put that 40 different parameters, and we measure that just to see that, how are we progressing, month on month on month. And it's very clear to the person also, who's being evaluated. So one is there's a little bit of a push, but there's also motivation. You just can't keep pushing them, right? When they do well, they see that they're moving up. They've got to the highest level.
How would you describe Magic Bus impact? Like if you were to describe in what spheres of lives of the beneficiaries does it touch the most?
See, our horizontal is life skills. So we believe in life skills. So we feel that if we can prepare the young people to fend off challenges which are there in their school life, personal life, and work life, we've succeeded. What gives this impetus is the new education policy, which is also talking about life skills, curiosity, critical thinking, etc. We've been doing this for the last 26 years.
Jayant, that was very nice to hear about people and programs as part of the 4 Ps. Could you tell us the remaining 2 and what they stand for?
So the third P is about process. It helps you build capacity. It also helps you do a maker-checker, for anything that you do. It also helps you measure. And I'll talk about, on the program side, we'd implemented this OSS or field mobility. We have another program which is the Continuum, right, which is a livelihood program. So there we have a process automation where we're capturing all the different data points which are there. So the process helps you build rigor, integrity. It also helps you build capacity. So today, very few NGOs have absorptivity. If you get a very large grant, very few NGOs are able to absorb that kind of money. You get $1 million or something, you can't. But if you build strong processes and capacity within, then whether it's, a crore or $1 million or $2 million, you build that, you can still continue to do your programs with the same integrity, with the same level of rigor and outcome. If you're able to. So the processes help us build capacity. So we've looked at our financial processes, our HR processes, streamlined, our data capturing processes. So every single process has helped us, probably, I would say, get an edge in terms of the rigor, the operational efficiency. Yeah, and the good part is that, our operational overheads used to be very, very high. All this technology has actually brought it down to a single-digit number, which means when somebody gives Magic Bus $100, most of the money actually goes into the program. So it also brings in operational efficiency. It helps you build capacity, and absorptivity.
Given that the desire of every organization is to grow and collect the $1 million checks, why are those organizations not able to make the transition to take those? Why does the absorption capacity not happen? What's coming in the way? And what would be your advice to, let's say, a 5 to 10 crore NGO today that wants to take the $1 million check?
See, for me personally, I think the most important thing that an NGO can do is credibility. And credibility will come only if you can show the outcomes. So, and I tell my team very clearly, see, if we can't show the outcomes and the impact, let us not take the money. My first 2 years in Magic Bus, when I was kind of, it was just the fixing part of it. I was very clear that, I would not go out to any other new funder partners, because I wanted to be sure that, we are delivering on our commitment. So I think the most important thing is credibility. If you can build credibility in your program, I think the other things start falling in place.
But if
Your people also get motivated, funders start coming in, and then I think it brings a positive churn.
But if the attention goes towards credibility and executing the program well, where does that leave time, money, bandwidth to make the investments necessary to build the scalability, the adaptability of the program? Like, how do you decide between doing your current job well versus making investments for the future?
So I think, you have to work concurrently at the 4 Ps, which I talk about, right? And you can't work on just one and leave the other. But I think the first program, if my advice is you're a 5 to 10 crore organization, I think the first thing is build credibility in terms of your program and outcomes.
Yeah.
I think the other Ps will fall in place.
Yeah. Okay. Is there a 4th P that we have missed?
Yeah, there's the last P is about our partners, so funder partners, our government partners, our employer partners, because again, on the livelihood side, we have 4,000 plus employers. So working with them and seeing what is it that they feel about us. So we do a survey with our funder partners. We ask them to rate us on an annual survey. And it has been improving. So our funder net promoter score is around 96%, which means 96% funders are happy to recommend us. Again, openness, integrity, I think the technology that we brought in are those key elements which kind of, I think, help build us.
Yeah, congratulations. That sounds a very impressive score.
Thank you. We are lucky, and I hope we continue to progress on that,
Jayant, one of the things that you've pride yourself on is the deployment of technology in different aspects, and what is perhaps historically a very passion-driven, people-driven, last-mile, field-driven sort of intervention, right? Would love to hear specific examples of technologies that you've deployed, what benefits you've seen, and how have you repurposed people's roles with those technologies coming in?
See, my first technology implementation, like I said, was about the OSS, which was the field mobility. And that brought in tremendous learning. One is technology has to be brought in with empathy. It has to balance between the technology and the people part of it. And you heard about that challenge where people asked me, are you trying to police us, right? So you have to kind of tell them, no, this is providing the, the right SOPs, the governance, also showing the right direction. So, and people bought in, once they saw the benefits, they bought into it, right? So that made it that much more easier. But it took me almost 2 years, In fact,
पर लोग क्यों नहीं कर रहे थे? उनको डर था कि इससे आप
एक्सपोज हो जाते हैं.
हाँ.
आपने अगर कुछ ठीक से नहीं किया तो वो सब इमीडिएटली रियल टाइम आपको पता चल जाता है कितने बच्चे हैं, कितने आउटरीच है, प्रोग्राम्स की क्या क्वालिटी है, वो सारी चीज़ें start traveling upstream.
अच्छा.
So people don't want to be exposed.
तो फिर वो क्यों बदले? उनको क्या फायदा मिल रहा था कि ये टेक्नोलॉजी इम्प्लीमेंट करने से?
देखिए, एक तो उनको ये पता था कि ये सीईओ है, ये तो कराएगा, ये छोड़ेगा तो
डर के मारे भी कर लिया.
I wouldn't say that, no. So I think it is motivation. It is also a push which is required. I think it's both push and pull,
Right.
So see, like I said that, there are approximately 70-80% of the organization which wants to, do something which is good. Or 85-90%.
तो अच्छे लोग थे, उनको तो अच्छा लगा.
उनको अच्छा लगा, तो they immediately kind of adopted it, and they saw the benefits, and they become ambassadors. They started talking about it. Then the voice which is kind of opposing it, which is a very small voice, gets completely subdued. वो बिल्कुल बंद हो जाती है.
Right.
So I think it just kind of builds up, but you have to. For what we did was we brought in champions, we encouraged them. We also kind of, motivate whenever there was a town hall, speak about them, the great work that they're doing.
Yes.
And people do get the message, see, this is the only way. Those 5 to 10%. The good people, I think, automatically align once they start seeing the benefits,
One of the other reasons I really like technology is the ability to, centralize quality and disseminate it at scale without losing the fidelity of that, right? So the quality of Google search, whether you use it in San Francisco or in Rwanda or in, tribal Chhattisgarh, the quality of the search remains the same. And so I think here also, if we can really codify a lot of best practices centrally, where the experts are, where the fields are, where the labs are, and the fact that it can travel without losing its impact, I think is a good one, enabled by the last mile talent that does it. Jayant, tell me about the demographics of the people that you serve. What is their age range and where are they located? If you can share more on that.
See, firstly, we work with marginalized young people, as we call it. So we have two programs. One is the adolescent program. The other is the livelihood program. And we call it childhood to livelihood. So we want to hold the hand of every child right from the school to getting them into livelihood and moving them out of poverty.
So this would be, let's say, when they are 11 years of old, all the way up to they get a job.
Absolutely. Now, so our adolescent program typically starts working at the 6th class or 11 years upwards of that age. And we try and see, any program that we do for minimum 3 years because change takes time.
Yes.
So we don't do any program which is less than. And if possible, then we try and take it to 6 or 7 years till they kind of pass out of school. So like I said, there are two outcomes. One is they can get into higher education or they can get into livelihood, depending on family circumstances. Our livelihood program is there on 18 plus. It can go up to 25, 26 in the urban. In the rural, it could be 18 plus. It can go also up to 50 because there are no jobs over there. We work on entrepreneurship. We work on self-help groups, collectives, etc., etc. That's a far more complex area. Urban, peri-urban is easier because they're jobs. You can make them employable, provide that skill, and put them into jobs. And we do this at a huge scale. So last year, we had almost close to 2.5 lakh young people, 60% being girls. Placing girls is far more difficult.
Yes. Jayant, ये जो childhood program है, 6th standard onwards, 11 years old onwards, reason क्या है magic bus का आना? मतलब ground पे क्या चल रहा है? आप क्या देखते हैं जब आप field visit करते हैं? What's the situation on the ground? इन बच्चों की क्या lives है? वो क्या जी रहे हैं? Why are you there? Like, what's the need for you to be there?
देखिए, सबसे पहली नीड तो हमारी ये थी कि आप अगर आप ये देखिए, बहुत सारी एनजीओस काम करते हैं, दे वर्क एट द प्राइमरी लेवल, राइट? जब बच्चा स्कूल में जा रहा है। अब आज की तारीख में इंडिया में दिस 99 to 100% एनरोलमेंट एट द प्राइमरी लेवल, राइट? इट्स देयर इन द ओपन डोमेन. So I feel that problem, at least at Magic Bus, we feel that problem is taken care to an extent. We know there are learning level issues. We all understand that. But if you start looking at, when you're getting into these 6th class, 7th class, that is the age जब बच्चा कुछ कमा के ला सकता है, बिकॉज घर की परिस्थिति कैसी है उसके ऊपर डिपेंड करता है. और ये मार्जिनलाइज बैकग्राउंड्स में एनी एडिशनल इनकम मीन्स फैमिली इनकम इज डबलिंग. इट मीन्स अ लॉट. So to see that the children stay in school is a very, very big challenge. There you have to work with the communities, with the parents, and see that they are, because dropout rates बढ़ने लगते हैं उस समय. और दूसरी चीज़ क्या होती है कि अगर आप गांव में हैं, रूरल एरिया में हैं, तो स्कूल क्या होता है कि 8th क्लास तक स्कूल होता है, उसके बाद दूसरा स्कूल, फिर उसके बाद जो 9th से शुरू होता है वो थोड़ा और दूर हो जाता है, उसके बाद फिर दूसरा स्कूल और दूर. सो देयर इज दैट मच लेस inclination to go because distances are more. It is not safe for girls, parents feel. So these are all the reasons why dropouts keep increasing. Other than the economic reasons which I kind of shared with you, mobility नहीं होती है. So we feel that this is the precise age to start working. And let me just contextualize this with the livelihood, right? The program that we do on the livelihood side. देखिए, अगर आप चाहते हैं इंडिया का जीडीपी बढ़े या लोग पॉवर्टी से बाहर निकलें, तो ये काम आप लास्ट माइल पे नहीं कर सकते. ये काम आपको पहले शुरू करना पड़ेगा जहाँ लीकेज होता है. तो ये जो इट्स अ वेरी लीकी पाइप, राइट फ्रॉम प्राइमरी टू livelihood. And once they drop out, boys or girls, and our focus is both, but we typically focus more on girls. So if they drop out, then it is NEET, which is not in education, employment or training. Once they drop out, they're off the radar completely.
Right. और ये सब चलो कर लिया, उसके बाद लाइवलीहुड के प्रोग्राम में गए, तो उसमें कुछ फ़ायदा होगा आपको? कोई याद है? इज देयर अ केस स्टडी एग्जांपल ऑफ एनी पर्सन who's gone through a livelihood program, just so we understand कि इसका किसी की ज़िंदगी पे क्या असर होता है? देखिए, बहुत बहुत सारे एग्जांपल्स हैं. मैं आपको एक एग्जांपल तो अपना इसका एक एग्जांपल मुझे एडोलेसेंट का देने दीजिए, और उसके बाद एक मैं आपको लाइवलीहुड का देता हूँ. तो आपको ये वर्ल्ड कप क्रिकेट तो हम सब इंडियन सब अच्छे से जानते हैं, राइट? बिल्कुल.
तो एक वर्ल्ड कप से पहले फीफा हो या वर्ल्ड कप क्रिकेट हो, उससे पहले एक स्ट्रीट चिल्ड्रन वर्ल्ड कप होता है.
अच्छा.
एक एजेंसी करती है इसको. तो जब लंदन में कुछ साल पहले जब लंदन में वर्ल्ड कप हो रहा था, तो हमको अप्रोच किया गया था कि आप अपने बच्चों को उसके लिए भेजिए. तो हमने एक डिपेंडिंग ऑन स्कूल अटेंडेंस जो अच्छा कर रहे थे, हमने एक बॉयज़ एंड गर्ल्स की मिक्स टीम बनाई. और हम उनको ट्रेन करने की कोशिश करी और सो काफ़ी सारे बच्चे ऐसे थे जिनके पास मतलब ऑल ऑफ देम डिड नॉट हैव पासपोर्ट, सो वी हैड टू गेट द पासपोर्ट, सो उनके पास डॉक्यूमेंटेशन नहीं था, सो इट टुक अस सम टाइम, बट वी ऑलवेज फाउंड दैट द पेरेंट्स ऑफ द गर्ल्स वर लेस विलिंग टू सेंड द गर्ल्स, ऑल्दो इट वाज अ ग्रेट अपॉर्चुनिटी टू ट्रैवल। तो उनको कन्विंस करा, किसी तरीके से करा के उनको हमने बड़ी मुश्किल से भेजा वहाँ पे। जब वहाँ पे भेजा उसके बाद तो टीम ने बहुत अच्छा करा, दे वन मैच आफ्टर मैच एंड दे वन द वर्ल्ड कप उधर पे, जो इंडियन टीम थी।
Fantastic, congratulations.
एंड उसके बाद फिर वहाँ पे ऑब्वियसली यूएस में इट वाज इन यूके ऑब्वियसली काफ़ी न्यूज़पेपर्स में रिपोर्ट हुआ, दे वर कॉल्ड टू द आई थिंक हाउस ऑफ कॉमन्स और समथिंग एंड दे गॉट अ स्टैंडिंग ओवेशन. Also, when they're coming on the Air India flight back home, the pilot announced it, they got a standing ovation in the from all the passengers. And when they came to the community, some of it was BPT इधर पे. तो जब ये बच्चे आए, तो एक पूरे के पूरे community में there was a change. You know, parents were encouraging girls to play. They were allowing them to play with boys. They were taking time out to even coach the girls and sending them to school. So एक पूरी community में एक बदलाव आ गया था इस एक छोटी सी चीज़ के साथ. So that is the power of the program and role models.
और वो रोल मॉडल्स भी क्योंकि वो बस्ती से ही थे तो उसका महत्व ज़्यादा था क्योंकि वो देख सकते थे कि हमारे बिरादरी के लोग ऐसा भी कर सकते हैं.
Correct, and they could connect with it. There was a realism in it, that right?
Yes, that's true.
So that was one. दूसरा, see on the livelihood, so we have two programs. One is a rural program and urban. Urban, like I said, the social return on investment is very high because it's a short program. You make them employable, you put them into jobs. So we have good placement ratios. We measured by the placement ratios, the salaries they get, the retention which is there, how many girls are there in that program, and how many of our. So we have 60% girls average out of the 2.5 lakhs overall outreach that we had last year. So that is one of the success criteria or parameters. But coming to rural, which is more complex. So we started these incubation projects. We always try this in a controlled environment. We get the learning, build a playbook, and then we expand, trying to use technology to whatever extent we can. तो अभी हमने एक प्रोग्राम करा था रूरल राजस्थान में और मध्य प्रदेश में. और राजस्थान में आपको पता है लेडीज़ वो घूंघट के साथ आती हैं और these were ladies who are 18 to 50 years old. एंड हमने उसमें लेवल ऑफ डिफ़िकल्टी काफ़ी ज़्यादा कर दी थी कि हमने उसमें कुछ 40 पैरामीटर्स रखे थे जिसमें कि कच्चा घर है, टूटा हुआ घर है, घर में कोई फैमिली इनकम नहीं है, अगर माइनॉरिटी कम्युनिटी एंड ऑल दोस काइंड ऑफ स्टफ. सो वी पिक्ड अप द मोस्ट चैलेंजिंग ऑफ दिस सिचुएशंस एंड वी trained them for almost 1.5 years, provide them with some small impetus in terms of support. तो कोई सिलाई कर रहे हैं, कोई ब्यूटिशियन, कोई डिज़ाइनर, कोई अपनी बिजनेस कोई आगे बढ़ा रहे हैं उसको. तो इस तरीके से करा था. तो एक बड़ी अच्छी कहानी है. आई वोंट नेम द पर्सन, बट सो देयर वाज दिस लेडी हु केम फ्रॉम अ माइनॉरिटी बैकग्राउंड, राजस्थान, रूरल राजस्थान. बहुत अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ होती नहीं है वहाँ पे बाहर निकलने में भी और बाकी लोगों के साथ बात करने में. अगर कोई औरत किसी आदमी के साथ बात करे अभी भी इट इज़ टैबू. दिस लेडी शी गॉट मैरिड एंड हर हस्बैंड वाज गुड एकेडमिकली एंड उधर पे एक बड़ी उनकी वो होती है कि हम सरकारी जॉब मिल जाए. तो उसको what luck would have it, did not get it, got into bad companies, started drinking and other issues which started happening. And subsequently, because she was not earning, the in-laws kept the son and they threw the daughter-in-law out of the house. So she had no choice but to go to her parents. And by that time, she had 2 kids. और बेटी की कुछ तबीयत खराब थी and she needed money to kind of. And in between, what happened? The husband also went to a place. These people who come and they say कि आप कुछ पैसा दीजिए, you will earn so much if we can take you abroad. Or donkey and all that. So he landed up in Cambodia. And when he went there, he realized this was all fishing and all those scamming things. Now to get back, the family had to take a loan and give 3.5 lakhs to those people and get this person back. This is what she tells us, right? So huge interest. And she was absolutely, literally on the road. Then obviously this program came in. We helped her. We trained her. And she started doing some tailoring. And after that, she's been earning a decent income. She's been able to take care of her daughter's medical needs. She's also been able to repay some of these loans. And so it's such a powerful story that, in a rural setting, you are able to kind of, change that life. And the whole family, moves out of poverty. And she's very conscious now the children have to study, get educated, etc. So these, you hear these stories and they just bring tears to your eyes when you kind of, hear it live when you're there over there. So.
No, that's wonderful and thank you for sharing those. पर चलो आपने इनके साथ कर लिया, पर अब ऐसे इस लेडी की तरह और भी शायद 10 लाख लेडीज होंगे. एंड सो हाउ आर यू थिंकिंग अबाउट दैट? क्या ये काम सरकार को करना चाहिए? आप उनको क्या बोल रहे हैं? आप क्या करेंगे? इस प्रॉब्लम को पूरे राजस्थान के लिए, पूरे भारत के लिए कैसे सॉल्व करेंगे आप?
देखिए, ये बहुत ही कॉम्प्लेक्स प्रॉब्लम है. मैं इसको आपको थोड़ा सा कुछ डेटा पॉइंट्स देता हूँ, 3 डेटा पॉइंट्स देता हूँ. देखिए, सबसे पहली चीज़ क्या है कि इंडिया में 50% ऑफ आवर ग्रेजुएट्स आर अनएम्प्लॉयबल. वी नो दैट, राइट? द सेकंड डेटा पॉइंट इज द नंबर ऑफ जॉब सीकर्स.
चलो, वो क्यों अनएम्प्लॉयबल है? आधे लोग ने 12 साल का स्कूलिंग किया, शायद 2-3 साल का कॉलेज किया, उसके बाद भी उनको कोई भी लेने के लिए रेडी नहीं है.
वो ये बहुत कॉम्प्लेक्स है. अगर हम एक एक चीज़ में घुसते चले जाएंगे तो सेशन कभी खत्म नहीं होगा. बट
आधे लोग अनएम्प्लॉयबल है, अब क्या करेंगे?
दूसरी दिक्कत यह है कि आप अगर देखें नंबर ऑफ जॉब सीकर्स वर्सेस द नंबर ऑफ जॉब्स हम क्रिएट कर रहे हैं, उसमें
और अब टेक्नोलॉजी और एआई आ गया और ऑटोमेशन आएगा तो और भी कम जॉब्स हो जाएंगे.
और भी कम जो हम जितने प्रोड्यूस भी कर रहे हैं, आई थिंक गोइंग अहेड दैट विल आल्सो टेपर डाउन. थर्ड इज इंक्लूसिव ग्रोथ, फीमेल वर्कफोर्स पार्टिसिपेशन. दैट इज द अदर बिग प्रॉब्लम, बिकॉज अभी भी आज की तारीख में भी हमारे यहाँ, ऑल्दो आई थिंक इन द लास्ट फ्यू ईयर्स इट हैज डबल्ड. गवर्नमेंट ने बहुत अच्छा काम करा, उसको काफ़ी इंप्रूव करा है, बट स्टिल देयर इज अ लॉट मोर दैट हैज टू बी डन.
राइट.
So now all these things make it very, very complex to kind of solve, and there's no one answer for this.
Right.
It's what we are doing is probably just a drop in the ocean जो हम कर रहे हैं. और I think we need more magic buses, we need more organizations, we need a public, private and a civil society partnership, very, very strong to do that. Because यहाँ jobs तो है नहीं. तो जहाँ तक अगर funding नहीं आएगी, सरकार अगर कुछ नियम बदलाव नहीं करेगी और ये सिविल सोसाइटी आके अगर उसको नहीं करेगी, तो आई थिंक तीनों को बहुत लग के इसके लिए काम करना है, इसको एट अ वेरी लार्ज स्केल. द गुड पॉइंट इज द गवर्नमेंट अंडरस्टैंड्स दैट and they brought in a lot of schemes. If you've seen, even now it's very important to empower a woman even in the election, so which is a very good thing, right? If
yes,
you ask
it
me.
is.
And the politicians are taking care of that. But there's some really good work which the government has done, and there's a real solid intent. When you speak to the skilling ministry, you speak to the education ministry, there are specific schemes for empowering women, also solving this problem. The new education policy is talking about holistic education, vocational education. So it's building all these things, it's building employability skills, entrepreneurial skills into the school. And that's exactly what we have been doing, for the last 26 years. And that gives us good tailwinds to kind of move ahead with, momentum. So I think there are multiple things which are being there, and it is a far too complex problem for any single entity to solve it.
What are one or two proven ways that have, improved the female labor force participation, whether in India or developing countries or developed countries? Like, what are some proven mechanisms that have improved?
I think, one is the question is, where is the leakage actually happening? So you have to plug the leakage at that level. So in our country, the leakage, like I told you, happens at that, the adolescent stage.
When they have to go from primary to secondary school,
when they get
after 8th standard.
Higher primary, right?
Right.
Senior primary.
After 8th standard.
6th, 7th, 8th.
Oh, after 5th standard.
So 6th, 7th, 8th. So that is where the leakage happens. So you have to plug it over there. You can't work at the last mile to kind of solve this problem, because they're already out of the...
Correct.
They're off the radar completely. So that is where you have to work precisely to kind of solve this problem at scale.
Keep them in school, make sure they get good learning. Hopefully by 10th standard, they're independent learners. So whether they go to a school that's 5 kilometers away or they're learning from home, and with the advent of smartphones and data, perhaps there's learning that can be delivered at home. And so they keep doing something that someone is willing to pay them for some skill of theirs, right?
Absolutely.
And that's how we would do it.
And especially with the advent of technology, I think there are many more options which are opening up and will open in the future. For somebody who wants to stay at home, learn, or work from home, etc., I think there are a lot of these opportunities.
Yeah, I think we have sort of been working with the grades 1 to 10 spectrum. And पहले तो हम सिर्फ स्कूल में डिप्लॉयमेंट करते थे, बट ड्यूरिंग कोविड ऑफ कोर्स वी फाउंड अ वे फॉर चिल्ड्रन टू कंटिन्यू लर्निंग थ्रू देयर स्मार्टफोन्स और टैबलेट्स फ्रॉम देयर होम, समटाइम्स विद इंटरनेट, समटाइम्स विदाउट इंटरनेट. एंड नाउ आई थिंक वी आर इन अ स्पेस वेयर स्कूल में दे आर डूइंग समथिंग, बिकॉज एक माहौल क्रिएट हो जाता है, बट इट हैज़ अ पॉजिटिव स्पिल ओवर एट होम वेयर दे आर एबल टू बोरो देयर मदर्स स्मार्टफोन and do maybe half an hour of maths and science through Mindspark. I would still say that's less than 10% of students, even if smartphone penetration is above 90%. So at some point, we have to allow parents to give their phone to their child for half an hour a day, so that learning to happen. But I'm quite excited about how technology can, enable continuity of learning, regardless of whether they go to formal school or not. Because see, a child is growing up 365 days a year. School is at best 180 to 200 days a year, right? So half the days they're not going to school structurally, even if a school is next door. And then when they go to school, like they might be so far behind the grade level that the teacher is finishing the syllabus that they may not be learning. So I think in a setup like this, I think technology for personalizing the learning, adapting to their child's level, being available anytime, anywhere, both as a tutor as well as an assistant to the main teacher, I think can really unlock some of this learning that can happen at the scale that India needs it to happen. No? It's 2025 now. In another 2 decades, India will celebrate 100 years of independence. If you had a crystal ball, you're looking into it, it's 2047. What do you see, Jayant?
See, one is 2047. I think we have both opportunities and challenges. So if you look at it, India is a confluence of good governance, political leadership, stability over there. It is a shining example in terms of, the highest, one of the fastest growing large economies. It has the largest working age population today anywhere in the world. So I think which is really, really great. But that is also the challenge which is there, right? So we see that, with the growth, obviously there will be opportunities. But we know with AI, with technology, job creation will slow down. The government understands that, and they're working very, very seriously. In fact, one of the initiatives which the Prime Minister has taken is about the Global Skilling Hub. Since we have such a huge working population, can we skill them and kind of put them outside where jobs are there, right? I think that's a great initiative. I don't know in the current environment, whatever is happening, how far it will go. But again, the government is trying new things and very, very seriously it is, and that motivates, the civil society people like us to step in, add our bit, because see, the government brings the scale and we build the domain expertise, right?
Yes.
And if the two come together, I think it's a fantastic marriage. So looking at that, if you look at, 2047, we believe in inclusive growth. The government was inclusive growth. We're talking about a $30 trillion economy, third largest economy. But to do that, I think there's some key things which have to be taken care of. One is a female labor force participation. See, that still is quite low. Although the government has doubled it, it's 35-40% now. But when you talk about organized jobs, it's still quite low. It's even lower than some of our neighbors. So there's a lot of work which has to be done. It is happening. And if you look at the trajectory, we did a report with Bain, and which we, where we studied the whole cycle, if I could kind of call it, for lack of a better word. We realized that, you need 70% female workforce participation. It has to double. And the current trend shows that it is growing at 6%. We'll have to grow at 9 to 10% to get there. And if you look at the current trend and keeping AI in mind, I think that is, as it is, pretty aggressive, which shows that we'll be approximately around 15 to 20 crores short in terms of female workforce participation by 2047. And if that happens, then probably the economy would look somewhere around, maybe little north of $20 trillion. So to get that inclusive growth, you can't work at the last mile. You have to start working much earlier. Yes. And you have to work where the leakage is. And where is the leakage? The maximum leakage is the adolescent or the senior primary level. That's where the dropout starts happening because of a variety of reasons that I explained. So if you can work over there, there's many more magic buses who can work and kind of, see that we're able to see that, the girl, the boys, every child completes education and then has the opportunity to get into higher education or into livelihood depending on family circumstances. So that's the work that we are doing. And we're trying to do it at a very, very large scale. We're very happy to get in, policy, advocacy players, think tanks, government bodies, other NGOs. Everybody, we're very happy to work with them and anchor funders. So that's something that we are actually driving towards right now. One thing that we started for that, again, I believe in technology, and I'm going to talk again, about it. So we've created a platform called FutureX. And one of the impact funders really like the model and they've invested multiple times in that. We are building this whole life cycle of a youth right from the time we mobilize them to training them, to preparing them for interviews and jobs, placing them, connecting them to employers, and then looking at their retention, and then looking at a trajectory where, what is the longitudinal growth in terms of personal and professional. So we're trying to build this whole thing. I think the first two, three modules are ready. We've launched it also. So this one is it gives us scale. It can help us reach anybody across the country. So it democratizes access. Third, what it does is it helps us bring granularity, integrity, which is very important for us at Magic Bus, precisely, especially for me. It helps us do that. And it helps bring unit economic cost down.
Right.
And if you can kind of, look at over a period of time what works, the amount of data that you collect, if you can start looking at what this data does, what works, what doesn't work, what are the two things that you can do which can kind of, improve maybe, their ability to get a better job or grow. So we're trying to build this whole thing. The challenge is again, the connectedness. Once they move out of our programs, we lose touch with them. So how do we build that connectedness with them so that they see some value and they continue on the platform? So this is our endeavor going ahead as we step.
Wish you all the best, and I hope you get there soon.
Thank you so much, Pranav. Thank you.
Jayant, thank you so much for joining us on EI Dialogues today. I learned a lot, especially your 4Ps framework in terms of how can one scale organization capability while providing consistent quality to the increasing number of beneficiaries that it can serve. Lots to think about: people, process, programs, and partners, of course, without which it wouldn't be possible. Thank you also for bringing all the best practices from both technology and corporate, where you worked for 2 decades before you joined Magic Bus, and not just for Magic Bus, but for the sector itself. How can we, take lessons to professionalize it, which sort of would sow the seeds for scalability to come in. I understood the importance of increasing the female labor force participation as a very important criteria for us to meet our $30 trillion economy goal for 2047.
Viksit Bharat.
Viksit Bharat. Sabke liye Viksit Bharat. And thank you for sharing the stories from the field as it relates both from the adolescent work that you do as well as the livelihood work that they do, or in your language, childhood to livelihood. I think as lots to do. So please continue the good work, and my best wishes. Thank you. Thank you for joining us on EI Dialogues.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, really appreciate it.
Really enjoyed myself.